Lift yourself up on your feet. Let's get it on. Lift yourself up on your feet. Let's get it on.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Carpenters Apprentice. Today we have with us Mr. Aaron Reyna, PhD student at Florida State University in educational policy. So I've asked him to come in here today to shed some knowledge on us and give us a little bit more clues on how we can get through some of these educational policy hang-ups. Sir, would you come on in? Welcome to the studio. How are you? Thank you so much for coming. Please take a seat. Okay, so first things first, why don't you tell folks a little bit about you?
My name is Aaron Reyna. As you already mentioned, I'm a PhD student at Florida State. I'm originally from the Houston area. I went to Texas State, just up the highway. I studied public relations and adult education there. Moved to San Antonio when I finished and loved San Antonio, so I decided to come back for the summer, do some work that I was doing before I left. That's pretty much it.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. So you were not native-born San Antonio?
No.
Oh, okay. You know, we talk about San Antonio's brain drain a lot of the time, but it sounds like you're coming into the city. What attracted you to San Antonio?
Well, I like Central Texas to begin with. I was at Texas State for like 6 years when I did both of my degrees. And then it was kind of between here and Austin. Wasn't feeling Austin. I like the culture of San Antonio. I've always wanted to learn Spanish, and I thought that was a good way. Stay here, work in the community. I've always wanted to do community work. So, yeah, it's just a lot of the cultural things. And then I moved after the first year. I knew I wanted to stay here either long-term or permanently at some point. So. And
is there anything affecting education policy here in San Antonio that you see that we ought to be going after?
I mean, there's a lot of things that could be better, of course. One thing I think, well, there's multiple. One would be dropout rate. I work for a nonprofit that does GED preparation and college readiness and workforce training. So one thing that a lot of different agencies in the city, they try to work on dropout of high school students. And then from there, if they don't work, they end up getting referred to a GED program like what we do. So I know they're trying to address the dropout rate, but also something that really needs to be addressed is the workforce. So we do workforce training, and that's kind of what some of my research is focused on, adult students in community college, whether that's certificates, an associate's degree, or just basics to get into four-year university, anything like that. So there's a big gap in skills and also job vacancies. So we have more job vacancies than we do, we have less job vacancies than we have people unemployed, and that's an issue because we have more people that could fill these vacant jobs, but they don't have the skills.
That's interesting. So is what you're saying that we need more people in the trades, or what is it that you're hinting at here?
Yeah, whether it be, I know a lot of the big ones are like nursing, certified nursing assistant, licensed vocational nursing, also even just like administrative assistants, another big one, phlebotomist, essentially anything in healthcare. Those are really big, especially those lower entry level. And then what we kind of focus on is doing stackable credentials. So for example, we partner with Good Careers Academy. They provide certified nursing assistant training for us, or with us, excuse me. And so what we do is someone could work on their GED and get this training. So by the time they finish their GED and they finish their certificate, take their state board exam, then they have their high school credential, and then they can start working in a field in which they essentially studied for. Okay. And then from there, some people decide to go nursing, or they decide they don't like that and they go different aspect of healthcare, but it's just kind of like that entry level to kind of get a good idea of if this is going to be a good fit for you or not.
Okay. So I like that we're expanding the options for students coming out of, what did you say? Post-secondary education?
Post-secondary, higher education. There's also another thing with high school students is that everyone pushes, oh, you need to go to college. You have to go get a four-year degree. But a lot of times what happens is students either aren't academically prepared, they don't know what they want to study, or they just don't want to go to college, and that's okay. But I think the stigma around not going directly to college is definitely prevalent. And a lot of people don't think of certificates or associate degrees, or even just starting out at community college and then making your way to UTSA or preferably Texas State. So I think if we just got rid of the stigma of if you don't go to a four-year school, then like you're not doing anything, or you're lesser than someone who does go to a four-year university. Yeah. But it's definitely not the case. A lot of times it's cultural aspects. For example, you might have someone who lives in a collectivist household, like many Mexican Americans do, and they're having to help support family, and not just like their parents, but maybe like grandparents, nieces and nephews. So money tends to be the main obstacle or main barrier for people attending university. But you can go to one of these trainings. Some of them can last anywhere from 6 weeks, which is like a phlebotomist training, can last anywhere to a few months, like the nursing assistant, or a medical assistant, which takes about a year. But a lot of these programs are really flexible, and you don't have to go to a community college to do them. You can do them through local nursing or healthcare facilities, good career academies. They're a branch of Goodwill. We do a lot of our trainings with them, and they can also provide scholarships. They're actually downtown. I don't know if you know where the Goodwill is, next to Market Square. There's one so then there's the Good Careers Academy right there. So what they do is they can also help scholarship some of the training costs.
Wow,
so
that's fantastic.
yeah, so it's very flexible. You can also, they can help you pay for your books and other things like that. So I think if people get that notion that you have to go to a four-year university or you're not going to amount to anything or you won't be successful, it happens to a lot of people. And I just really want people to know that you don't have to go that way, but you do need some type of training or education after high school. It doesn't have to be a four-year degree, a master's. It can be a 5-class certificate or just attending a training on how to do Microsoft Office.
Yeah.
So you can use any of these skills anywhere.
And so, first of all, I want to thank you for giving us all that information, because that was a lot of great information that I think people, I didn't have that information, so thank you. But what made you consider the people who were outside of the education track? Like, why did you focus in on that? Because most people don't.
So when I started my master's at Texas State in adult education, I started off with the workplace learning. So initially I wanted to be a corporate trainer. And then the adult education program is very social justice oriented. And it was just like through a lot of different experiences with that. And I got involved with Texas State's chapter of LULAC, the League of United Latin American Citizens. So just like learning more about like policy and how things how politics and government do interrelate with education and workforce and different things like that. So just through these experiences, and I attended a conference in DC where we had training on healthcare, immigration, education, policy. And then from there, we went and advocated and we spoke with representatives, Congress people, things like that. So through that, I knew I wanted to work in government or public service in some aspect, just because there's a lot of people who aren't as privileged as I am in many different ways that either don't know how to use their voice or they just don't think they can use their voice. So I wanted to let people know, like, me and you should be able to achieve the same things no matter what kind of a background we come from.
Yeah.
So, and then from that, getting involved, I worked at McCollum High School with the Upward Bound program, so just kind of starting to get involved with the community that way. And then,
Hey, shout out to McCullum. Woo woo.
so, and then from there, also working at the other nonprofit, Restore Education, which is where I work now, just seeing how some people have always been told that they're not good enough, or they just never really had the confidence, or just knowing that, or they just never had the support that I might have had, or that even you may have had. So just letting them know, like, just because you come from somewhere where people typically don't do something of this nature doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yep. Amen, brother. And I think that's a great place to bring it home. Don't stop. If you got a dream, chase it. This guy's telling you, it doesn't matter your background. You can still achieve anything you put your mind to. I hope you guys will join us next time. Thanks so much for being here.
No problem.